Are you gonna help me with this?
Sure.
You gonna get your hands dirty?
No.
I'm gonna hold him to it. We'll see if we can get his hands dirty. You guys, welcome to the shop. Today we're actually gonna change the oil on my 2004 Buell XB12R Firebolt. Very cool motorcycle. I love the story of this. Eric Buell's just kind of a nutcase. He's one of those guys that likes to do things his own way. And I've really enjoyed owning this motorcycle over the last handful of years. I've had this thing for, geez, I don't know, what, 5 years now probably? Probably something like that. Yeah, it's a great machine. I mean, it gets, I get a whole lot. Nice Ducati. People think it's a Ducati of some sort. They don't know what a Buell is. But it's a pretty cool machine. It's powered by a Harley-Davidson 1203 fuel-injected V-twin and 5-speed primary. So we're going to change the oil on it today. It's pretty straightforward. We've got the things that are all needed right over here. I got the low-profile drain pan, a couple of wrenches. I've got some tinfoil to help keep things from getting too messy. We're going to use the Lucas high-performance motorcycle oil. It's their 20W50. Got a couple of different funnels and some tubing and some thread sealant and Torx wrenches and an actual Buell brand oil filter. You don't see those very often anymore, but you can still get your hands on them. So let's dig in. All right, so first things first, rubber gloves. These things are the best thing ever, all right? We're gonna drain the oil from the tank. Actually, on a Buell, the oil tank is the swing arm. So this is actually where you fill the oil up right here. That's your dipstick is also in there. But then what we're gonna do is drain it first from down below. Now before we started recording, I actually ran the engine for a few minutes just to get it up to temperature. So hopefully the oil should be nice and thin, or thinner at least. And then we'll get that drained out. To attempt to not make a gigantic mess, I'm gonna cover the exhaust pipe with some tin foil because this will drain off on you. And it's just a 5/8. Let's give it a little gentle pull. There she goes. Right on. There we go. By the way, you got to use a low profile, if you don't have like a nice race stand to get the motorcycle up in the air, a low profile drain plug makes a big difference, or drain pan makes a big difference. My normal one that I use for a car just is not going to cut it at all for me. That's going to make it's too much of a mess, or it's too tall, so it would make a big mess. Anyway, I knew what I meant. I know what I meant. You know what I meant? All right, good. All right. There's a drain plug. We're going to clean that all off, and when we put it back in, we're going to put some thread locker on there. But for the time being, we're going to let this nasty old oil drain out. I'm going to get the, let's see if I can get this. There we go. Get the filler off. That'll help everything drain out nicely. Some pretty nasty looking oil in there. See, there you go. And that is why you can see why I used the tin foil on the exhaust. We're going to let that drain out. And while it's doing that, I'm going to take the front cowl off so that we can get to the oil filter. All right, I'm just getting the last screw out of the front here on the nose so we can take the cowl off. That's this guy. Oh, she's a little dirty under there. We got some road grime. No kidding. Oh, actually, it's not that bad. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to go get some brake cleaner, and we're going to clean this off while we're in here. May as well, right? I know this stuff is no good for the environment, but wow, it does a great job of cleaning road grime off and getting schmutz out of here. And you know, it's not every day that you've got the cover off of here, so it's good to get up and inside of here and just give everything a quick cleanup. It's one of the things I'm really proud of. This, motorcycle is a 2004. It's actually built in October of 2003. It's that old, but it looks like $1 million. It really does. It's actually a funny story. The guy that I bought this from, every spring he sends me an email every single year. Hey, you want to sell it back to me? Nope. So I'm just getting everything a quick little wipe down here, and the tip of the drain plug is actually magnetic, and little bits of engine, shavings from inside the engine get on there. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, it's it's been a few thousand miles since I've changed the oil on this thing, but it looks pretty darn clean. It's a good deal. Always make sure you clean things off before you put things back together. I know that seems to be logical, but a lot of folks don't. It's just kind of sloppy mechanics. And then the other thing that I want to point out on here is that this has, I don't know if you can see or not, but there's a little rubber O-ring down there. Now this one looks real good. We're going to reuse it, but it's not a bad idea to have a few of those things on hand. They only cost a couple of pennies, so get yourself a couple of those if you're going to change the oil regularly on your own. All right, so now we are at the oil filter. We've moved to the other side of the bike, and we're going to get the filter off. Just like on the other side, we're going to use some tinfoil to keep the mess to a minimum. I'm just going to kind of tuck this up and underneath. Keep this off the exhaust. Now, what happens if you do not use the tinfoil? You will get oil all over your exhaust, and the next time you fire this thing up, it's going to make all kinds of nasty noises and smells, and you don't want that. There we go. Try to keep the spillage to a minimum, but here it comes. Blub, 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 blub. And nastified. That's good to get all this old stuff out of there. So now, the old one here. Get paper towel. And I've got my new one. You can see by the dust on the box here, this one's been sitting around the garage for a little while. I always buy several filters at a time when I buy filters. So here's one brand new one, and what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pre-fill the filter. Now the idea behind this is that if you didn't have this filled with oil first, when you start the engine up, there's going to be a burp of air. There's no oil to circulate through the engine. That's not good for protection. So we're going to fill this thing up. By the way, I do this on car filters as well, not just the motorcycle one. Although the thing I like about this Buell filter is that because of the way it goes on the engine, it goes straight up, so it doesn't make a big mess. On a lot of my cars, the oil filter goes on the side, so you can't fill it up all the way, but you can at least get some of it in there, so always put at least something in there. All right, that is soaking in nicely. I'm gonna put a little more in. What it's doing now is as I put the oil into the filter, the actual filter element, this actual paper element inside that actually does the filtering, it's absorbing the oil. So it's going to absorb that in. Look at that, nice, good. Now you probably can't see it in there, but that's all good to go. How's this stuff looking over here? Not bad. Just kind of clean this mess off. Wipe down the flange where it all comes together. And it should be good to go on that. So that's nice. That's good right there. All right. One last thing that I'm going to do before I put all this together is I'm going to get a little bit of oil on my finger. My fingertip nice and damp here, and I'm actually going to rub it around the top of the gasket right here. You see that? We're going to get that gasket damp with oil, and that's just going to, again, help create a nice, good seal so we don't have to worry about leaks. The thing about these air and oil cooled V-twins is they vibrate a lot. They just do. And so you want a good solid seal on there. So now our filled up oil filter is going to slide right up inside. Remember your righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. On she goes, just like that. That. This out of the way down here. And honestly, hand tight is legitimately all you need, just like that, and we're good to go. So now we're going to move on to filling the old oil, new oil. We're going to put new oil in. The old oil's out, new oil's going in next. So I've made a tool to help get the oil into the engine a little bit easier. The way the oil tank is positioned on here, it's a little off the side. So I'm just going to take the tube over here, put this guy up here, and then we will gently start to pour oil in, and you can see the oil going down through the tube down below. And this takes about 2.5 quarts to fill up in here. Alright, so we've got all the new oil in. We're going to check the level with the dipstick. I'm going to put that in. Let's get her in there. There she goes. All the way down. Bring it all the way back up. Check the level on here. We're looking to get right in between those two big bumps, and it's exactly right there. So we are right on the money. Engine oil is all set. We're good to go. There is a cool aftermarket piece that I might want to get for this. It replaces your dipstick, and instead of having this regular solid plastic tip on there, it actually has an oil temperature gauge built onto it. I thought that was kind of a cool piece. I don't have one of those things, but if I run across one, I might be tempted to buy one just to take a peek at it. But as long as you keep your oil changed regularly, you know, you're in good shape. All right, now that we got that buttoned up, we're going to move on to the primary. So the next thing we're going to do is change the oil that's inside the primary here. It's essentially the transmission of the motorcycle. If you're new to the motorcycling world, that's kind of what we got going here. I just snapped these guys loose, these inspection plate covers loose. It's a T27, it's a Torx 27 screw head, so we get that one off. Get this guy off right here. This guy off, and then there's also, oops, there's a gasket piece in there as well, and that looks nice, so that's good and clean, and everything's well here. The last time I was in there, I actually replaced that piece just to keep things clean. And now we're going to move on to the drain, and this is just like changing any other oil. I'm going to get this off here. There he goes. And I'm about to make a mess of my hand. Blah! Super gross. And we're going to let that drain out. Alright, so pro tip on this one, to make sure you get all the oil out of the primary, you actually have to stand the bike up a little bit. I'm going to kind of lean this over a little bit, and I'm just going to stand this up so you want to shoot down below. Yeah, see, there's some more oil in there. You definitely want to get all that old dirty. If you're going to do this, do it right. Get all that old nasty oil out of there. Alright, let's reinstall the drain plug here. We're just going to put a little thread lock on. We'll smear that around. That's good right there. Get this guy up. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to get my head on the camera shot there.
It's fine.
There we go. Put that in finger tight like that. Hang on here, righty tighty, lefty loosey. There we go. This was the same idea as the oil drain plug as well. I want to make sure that the magnet's cleaned off and that the rubber gasket is on there. And other than that, that looks good to go. Up next, let's refill this thing through the inspection hole. All we have to do is do this. And actually, I'm going to reach right around you there, Alex. And actually, I want this one next to me. I want a full quart. This takes 1 quart of oil to fill this guy up. Get this good to go there. That just goes in the hole. It's no fancier than that. And let's pour this stuff in. Oil.
So satisfying.